Hey, this is Joey Molland from Badfinger here. You're listening to DC's Barside Jive. I'm done. I hung up.
Yeah, Joey, that was awesome. Like I said, it's my favorite. I'm glad to hear it's your favorite.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Tremendous song, yeah.
I'm sorry about my croaky old voice.
Dude, no, you
gotta get warm, so.
Yeah, right. Well, it's good that you're having hot tea instead of beer.
No, it's not.
Well, maybe one of these days you're down here in Dallas, we'll go have a beer together.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
I insist. That's treat. Okay. That's my okay, treat. Man.
We'll toast to Badfinger.
All right, boss. Sounds good.
So hang on to your guitar because I may ask you to play one more before we conclude the show. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's right here. Yeah.
All right. So after Apple Records folded in about 1973, you guys really struggled financially, legally, and, the band was wrought with management problems, which ultimately led to Pete Hamm's suicide in, I think, 1975. Those times had to be very, very difficult for you, Joey. Looking back at that really low point in your life with all that going on, what is your most vivid memory?
Well, it's hard to say, man. There were a lot of good memories all jumbled in there. We were gigging maybe 120 nights a year. We were doing, routinely doing like 100-day tours, playing everywhere. And the shows were sold out. So we had all that good side. We were getting, since we started making some real money, we didn't take the money. We left it in the company. We had a corporation. We left the money in there. We only took a salary. Like we got like $350 a week, $320 a week, which was loads of money. It was loads of money in those days, though.
Oh,
we used to have no money. We had no money. And then we were making $300 a week. It was great.
Yeah.
And so we got that routinely every month. And that continued until all the way through 73, all the way up until the summer of 74 was when it started to get hairy. But in that same period, we'd left Apple, we'd signed with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers gave us an enormous amount of money each record, and we'd made a Warner Brother record, so they'd paid us a bunch of money. Apple was continuing to pay our royalties. And remember, we had 4 records on the radio at that time, and the Without You song was out.
Mm-hmm, right.
Nielsen had covered that. And so there was loads of royalties coming in. Most of the royalties were sent to the business, unless we wanted to get something like Tommy got a Porsche. He was the only one out of us who got anything like that. Tommy got a Porsche Targa 911, beautiful, dark blue, really beautiful. And the rest of us drove used cars.
Really?
So, and then Tommy bought a house, actually, but the rest of us lived in apartments or rented places. But we were living good. We were enjoying ourselves. We weren't broke. We weren't broke. Although we thought we were saving our money. The manager, the New York manager, Stan Polley, the business guy, he just spent it, man, like hand over fist. Guy was a complete fool. If he would have not done that, and we would have made a bloody fortune because we would have stayed together, you know? And sooner or later, one of us would have written a hit again. You know, Pete had kind of dried up a little bit, you know, after Baby Blue, I think. He just kind of, the songs started to get a bit more introverted. The domestic situation that the band got itself in was a bit kind of weird as well. That got a bit shaky, without going into, you know, details, you know, but there were affairs going on and, you know, all that stuff. So it kind of started to screw itself up. But still, we were making records and enjoying ourselves. So, but around about July 74, we'd been on tour in America and we went back to England. And, you know, Tiak brought out the 4-track tape then, the home one.
Right.
It was the first one that was available.
Right.
And of course, I wanted one. I wanted to buy one.
And they were expensive.
They were $1,000.
Yeah.
$1,200, which I suppose is expensive. I didn't think of it as expensive. You know, I called the office. In New York and said, I want to buy one of these tapes. And they're $1,000. Can you send me the money? No. I said, what? Well, we haven't got the money. I said, well, Apple just sent you $250,000. They just sent it, and we got a letter from Apple every time they sent them, you know. They just sent them $250,000 or pounds, maybe even pounds. And so I knew they had money.
Right.
I knew they had money. They're telling me they got no money. I went to Neil at Apple, and I asked him, could he put a hold on the check that he'd sent to New York? Neil said, I can't put a hold on it, but if one more member of the band calls me, I'll stop it. I'll stop payments on it. So I called Tommy Evans and said, hey, Tommy, they said they've got no money in New York, but I know they've just got a check, a big check. And he said, yeah, I saw that. I've got a letter. You know, we all got the same letter. You know, so he called Neil. Neil stopped the check. The check bounced in New York and the shit hit the fan.
Oh, I bet. Polley was pissed.
No, but he didn't have any money now. He didn't have any money, and there's nothing he could do.
Right.
You know, Apple, the money was ours. Apple
Right.
knew them, and they only paid it to him because we said pay it to him.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. So all of a sudden there was no money going to New York, and bloody nightmare. Eventually New York found money and started to send us our wages again and everything, and just a nightmare, just a bloody nightmare.
Did you get
anyway,
your $1,000 for your?
No, never did get to see her. Never did get it. Never. I mean, they were unbelievable. Never got it. What a stupid fool. It was a tool, you know. The first thing we did when we had a hit record, first lump of money we got, we all went and bought Reeboxes. We all went and bought them. They were like the tool for the songwriter.
Yeah.
Because you could record an acoustic, then record another acoustic on it, even though it was only 2 tracks, and you could bounce backwards and forwards. You know, you could double track your vocals. It was great for demos. It was great. Really easy to work as well. No big mechanical genius needed to do it, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's all we wanted to write songs. And to me, that a 4-track tape, wow, you know, stunning. Anyway, so we started to argue about it. Then we should, we should get rid of this fella, Polley, get somebody else. You know, he's a thief. You know, he's a knocker.
Right.
And Tommy agreed with me, I think, and Mike definitely agreed. But Pete didn't agree with it. Pete didn't believe it. And he insisted that we stay with Polley. Yeah, he did. And when the fiasco with the Warner Brothers records went down, you know, we put a record out on Warner's. It was selling good. Wish You Were Here.
Right.
Selling good, great reviews. Polley found a way to get into the escrow accounts, the Warner Brothers escrow accounts. I don't know how the hell he did it, and took the money.
Oh, wow.
Actually stole $350,000 off him.
Oh.
Warner Brothers, because we were the people who had signed the Warner contract, they killed our record. They took the record out of the shops, and they sued us for the money that was missing and suspended the record deal. Yeah? So we were good friends with them. My wife and I used to go down and have a drink with Derek Taylor, who was the PR guy for Apple, and then he was the PR guy for Warner's when we were with them. We used to go down. We used to go down the office there, Mike too, and we'd have a couple of drinks with them and have a laugh and a joke, you know. And so it was easy for us to get in touch with Warner's in London, and have them get in touch with Burbank. And what the hell is going on? Why are they suing us?
Right.
You know, why did they kill the record? And they told us then what had happened. And then years later, I got the same story from the president of Warner Music. The money was missing from the escrow accounts. They didn't know, had no idea how. And it was Badfinger, Warner Brothers money. And so they had to do something, and they could only sue us. They couldn't sue the manager. So they sued us and killed it and sued and took the record out. Anyway, they told us that as soon as the whole affair was sorted out, what had happened, they'd reinstate the Badfinger record deal, and we'd carry on making records for Warner's. So they sent a telex, and this is exactly what happened. They sent us a telex to the New York office to let us know that we were cool. The office called my house. My wife answered, Kathy, and she said, okay, and she relayed the message to me. Right. I was at a meeting with the band, and Barry Marshall, you know who Barry Marshall is?
No.
Barry is now martial arts, and he books Paul McCartney. He's Paul McCartney's agent. Well, he was our agent back then. You know, he booked us. Anyway, we were at the office there talking about a tour. The call comes in. I turn around and tell the band, Warner's have called the house, and Kathy just told me that they've said that our deal is cool. We just got to sort this money thing out. And Pete freaked out. He said, he stood up and he said, I'm not having Kathy managing this band. I'm leaving. And he walked out. Well, we were sitting there talking. We'd been talking about going on tour.
Yeah.
Like in, you know, a month from now, we're going on tour, right? And he's leaving the band. Anyway, so Mike stands up and tells him where to go. Yells it at it, you know, he's really angry. And so that was really the beginning of the end of the band right there.
Yeah.
Peter left. The three of us are sitting in the office. You know what we did? Somehow, a keyboard manager, Bill Collins, a personal guy, he found a keyboard player named Bob Jackson. And we auditioned Bob, and Bob joined the band. So we had a replacement now for Pete.
Right.
And Bob could sing really high harmonies too. And we had Tommy, you know, so we still had the vocals.
Right.
I could sing okay. And, you know, we went back to rehearsal for the tour. Because the tour was coming, no matter what we were doing,
right.
The tour was coming.
Yeah, it was happening.
Yeah, it was happening, man. So we just rehearsed, and then a few weeks later, Pete came down, and make a long story short, you know, he came back in the band. I talked to him over a meeting. We had a bit of a meeting in a cafe next door. What was going to happen about Polley, about the manager, and he wanted to stay with him still. He still wanted to stay with him. And the other guys decided, well, you know what, maybe we should do that, you know. And I said, well, I'm leaving, I'm out of there. So I said I was leaving. I left at the end of the tour. I said, I'll do the tour with you, but I'm leaving at the end of it. I really didn't see any point. The money thing wasn't going to be sorted out.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be able to give Warner's that money back.
Right.
That whole thing was gone. You know, that whole thing was gone. So we didn't really know what to do. We couldn't get an attorney. The contractual interference was the phrase of the day. And so we couldn't get really any help. I was gone. The tour ended in the end of November, and I left. And I came to America in January rather. You know, the band went back in there and made another album. Never got any money from that either.
What was Pete thinking?
I've got no idea. 5 months later, Pete's wife is pregnant. She's going in hospital to have a baby. He calls the office in New York to get some money, wants to buy his old lady a 90, some, you know, things that girls need, you know. And he's going to buy it for her. He's told the guy in New York, tells him flat out, you haven't got any money. Now, this is Pete Hamm. He wasn't only in Badfinger, but he'd written No Matter What. He'd written Day After Day.
Right.
He'd written Baby Blue. And he'd written Without You, one of the biggest songs in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah? In the world. You know, I raised my kids on my share of that song. You know? I raised my kids, paid all my bills, all my rent, all my cars, all my gas from that song. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Pete was told he had no money. And then he knew, didn't he? Then he knew.
Then he started,
then he
started
knew.
thinking.
He went out that night. I'm not kidding you. And with Tommy, they went to the pub, and he wanted to talk to Tommy. They had a few ales, quite a few ales, I guess. And Scotch. Pete said, I know what to do now. At the end of that night, he told Tommy, he said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something. And he went home and he wrote a little letter blaming Polley for everything. And then he went and hung himself. And he thought that would fix it, you know. I've got no idea why he didn't want to leave him in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't think he could believe it. Now, this guy had taken everything he had, and I mean everything.
Yeah. And he stood up for him.
Yeah, he stood up for him. Yeah. The band broke up. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Oh, you know, and then he thought that would help, or he thought it would. I don't know, man. I don't understand it. When they called me and told me that had happened, I was flabbergasted, you know.
Yeah.
Tommy called me from London.
Yeah.
He was so down, man. Tommy was just completely down.
Which of those guys were you closest to?
I don't know. I think Tommy in you know, during the height of the band. But Mike and I got along really well. Pete was a bit of a loner, but I got on really well with him. And you know, he'd do things like play practical jokes on you. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
He was that kind of guy, Pete.
Yeah.
Funny fella. He was the guy who filmed us all doing stupid stuff. You know.
Right.
Right. We all had a little, you know, look at that. You know.
Yeah.
Enjoyed ourselves. Like Pete liked to drink a little bit. We all like to. I mean, you know, who's 23 years old in a rock band, #1 in the charts? Who doesn't have a drink? You know what I mean? Yeah, we had a pretty, really a nice situation. That guy Polley was a crook. You know, we found out later he was a bagman for the mob. He used to pay money to judges in New York. There were actually pictures of him after he got found guilty of this. In the federal court in New York, there's a picture of him walking down the courthouse steps. You know, mob bagman, you know, gets off with, you know, $300 fine or something, you know.
Wow.
That's the world he came from. The same guy, though, had police commendations on his wall of his office. You know? Well, you tell me, man. You tell me.
Dude, it was New York.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It still is, apparently. You know. So.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, what caused you and Tommy to operate like rival bands? I mean, both of you were doing the Badfinger thing.
It was a circumstance. We made a record for Electra Asylum, and they called it Badfinger. So we made another record with another record label in Florida. What are they called now? I can't remember the name of the record label, but we went there and did a record for them. Last I wish I could remember. Anyway, we were supposed to do 2 albums for the label.
Mm-hmm.
We did the first one. It did okay. It didn't do anything great. We had a couple of singles off it. I had one, and Tommy had one, I think. And it did okay, but it wasn't a hit. Like, we went back to LA where we were living, and we were kind of hanging around there. We did a tour, you know, the band. We did a tour of America, and then went back to LA. And it was time for a second record to be made. The producer came up, and he only brought half of the money with him. And they were supposed to bring X amount of dollars, and he bought, you know, Y amount of dollars. And we were all in there. We were all at the pre-production, you know, studio. And we were playing our songs, all the new songs we had. We had a bunch. I had a cassette with me songs on it. And I was playing the songs. And he brought this thing up about only bringing half the money. And I stopped my tape, you know. So what do you mean you brought half the money? He said, well, we figured we'd bring half now and we give you the rest when you come down to make the record, because we're going to go and record in Florida. I said, well, wait a minute, you know, that's not the deal. We're supposed to get the advance today. You know, that's the deal, you know.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a contract, in it, you know.
Right.
What about if we came to you and said, oh, we're just going to record half of the record? You know, we'll do the rest, like, you know, sometime down the road. Anyway, so I said, look, and this was my opinion. I said, I think we should go home. They should get the money. We should come back.
Right.
And it wasn't that great a deal. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here. And anyway, so I went home. Tommy and this is where it goes. Tommy and Tony Kay. Tony Kay was in the band then. Tommy and Tony sat down with the guy, and they did a deal. And they threw me out of the band, and they got the half of the advance. Right? So I was at home, and I heard about it. I called the attorney the next day to talk to him about the half of the advance situation that they bought. I said, I went home. I came home. He said, oh, yeah. He said, I heard about that. He said, but I got to tell you that they've decided, Tommy and Tony have decided to accept the money, and you're not in the band anymore. So
Yeah.
So good evening.
Wow.
So I just, you know what I did? I immediately put a band together and went out on the road immediately.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about it. Just went on the road.
Yeah.
You know, that's a musician's recourse. That's what a musician can do.
Right.
And that's all I could do. I didn't have any money. Went on the road. Tommy went, and they went on the road.
So you had 2 Badfingers.
So we had 2 Badfingers now. Now, where did we get to? This is a great story. We stopped in San Diego. The bass player, Robbie Hewlett, was from San Diego. And he picked up a little bit of a little baggie. And, you know, a little bit of smoke, okay?
Right.
And so we ride down to Louisiana. The tour's starting in Louisiana. We rent ourselves one of those GMC campers, you know, a little bit of a trailer, put the gear in, and we're gone. Yeah, we get to Monroe, Louisiana. We do the gig. The gig's okay. It's all good. Fast gig, you know what I mean. The drummer goes in a bar. A guy asks him if he's got any pot, and he doesn't smoke. The drummer. He says, "Yeah, we've got a bit." And he runs on the bus, and he goes and gets a bit of our pot.
Oh.
And he gives it to the guy, and the guy's a cop.
Ah!
So we're busted that night in Monroe, Louisiana.
All of you.
We're laying in bed. You know what it's like on a bus? We're laying in bed, kind of half dressed and all that. The cops, woo, 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 all around us, you know, like, and this is Louisiana as well. It's the worst place in the world to get busted.
Oh, yeah.
They arrested us, hauled us off to jail. And we slept on the floor that night in the, it was like a great big bathroom. We slept on they gave us
in the drunk tank.
Yeah, yeah. And so we slept in there that night. And the next night they moved us into cells, separate cells. I was in a multi-person cell, top bunk. Anyway, really a bad situation. Now they've taken all the gear as well. They've impounded the bus and all the equipment. And, you know, without going on and on about this, we eventually pled guilty to being distributing marijuana. We eventually, we pled guilty to simple possession, and the deal was we get a fine and released. You know what I mean? And then that would be the end of it.
Right.
We only got that because we had some kind of political connections. I knew somebody that had worked on the Carter campaign and stuff like that. So I had a few connections in that world. Didn't really know them as that, but they were. And when they heard I was in jail, they helped me. You know what I mean?
So pleading guilty was the path of least resistance.
Yes, it was. Yeah. And we made all the papers and all that stuff. We were drug dealing fools. And anyway, so we went on, and you know what? We got out of there. We finished the tour, even though we didn't have any equipment and we had no clothes. They kept everything, the Louisiana police.
Oh, wow.
So we went, first stop was the Goodwill. You know, I bought myself a pair of white patent leather shoes with buckles, some red socks, a pair of brown corduroy Levi's, and a t-shirt, you know? And that's what I wore on stage for the next few days.
Oh, wow.
And but we finished all the gigs, paid all the commissions. Everybody got some money out of it because we had a load of gigs. And we went back to LA, but so that's how that happened. Tommy actually called me in jail. And how you doing, Joe? You knew I was in jail, a bastard. How you doing? So yeah, that was really the end of Tommy and my relationship. Although we did talk to each other over the next few years. Yeah. Tommy always wanted to get the money. Yeah. Well, one thing I didn't tell you about the Badfinger story was when we asked Neil to not send any money to New York, the Apple guy.
Right.
He started saving the money for us, all the royalties. And he opened an escrow account. And he put all Badfinger's royalties in that account, publishing and recording. And it was quite a stack of money.
Yeah.
And then he took it to the court because people were saying Apple were holding Badfinger's money. He took it to court in London and gave the money to the court and made it clear that this is Badfinger royalties and they've got legal problems. And when they sort those legal problems out, then they can pick it up.
Right.
They'll come and collect it. And so the judge wrote that up, and that's how it was. And that money stayed there. I think that went down in 1979, stayed there till 1985, which is when we went to court and got the money, you know. Because from 1985, we've got all the Badfinger royalties, 100% of them. Pete's had his, Tommy's had his, Mike's had his, and I've had mine. And Bill Collins, our personal manager, gets his too. So we all ended up getting the money. You know, if Pete and Tommy, because Tommy committed suicide too, as you know.
I always thought it was crazy how Tommy killed himself the same way Pete did.
Yeah. It was very weird, the whole thing. You know, I don't understand that. You know, I really don't understand what happened there. And I've never talked to his wife about it. And of course, you know, you can't talk to people after they do it. Right. There wasn't any letter from Tommy. There was no note about why he did it. Everybody put it down to him suffering from depression and the fact that Pete had done that. It depressed him more than he ever had. And all those years had gone by.
Everything you read, Joey, says that you and him had a kind of a falling out over some royalties, and that may have led up to it. But do you discredit that?
Yes, I do. He told me he was going to kill himself. He called me. I think the night before he did it. He really wanted the money from the court, and he knew as well as I did. We couldn't get the money out of the court until Pete's family agreed. Tommy had to agree, Mike had to agree, Bill had to agree, and I had to agree. Yeah, okay. all five parties had to agree. Now, I could go to any lawyer I wanted, and I did that in the beginning to try and get some money, because I'd got no money at all. 11 years I went without getting any money from Badfinger.
Yeah.
Of those royalties. Tommy was getting royalties. He was getting royalties all the time. It should have all gone in the kitty, but he was getting it all the time, you know? Anyway, it just is what it is. I swear to God, I couldn't have stopped it. I could not have stopped. I was in California. He was in London. He was mad at me. I don't know why he was mad at me. I didn't stop the money, you know?
Right.
It wasn't me that was stealing the money. I didn't steal any money, you know? So I don't know what happened. I don't know why he was so angry. I've got an idea, but I'm not going to talk to you about that because it involves Tommy and it involves his family, and I don't want to. They don't need any more bad news. They don't need, you know. So not going to benefit anybody now.
Well, Joey, you lost Pete, and then you lost Tommy, and then I guess later on you lost Mike. Yeah,
Mike passed away. Had an aneurysm, brain aneurysm. Yeah, Mike and I worked together really. I guess from 1986. For the next 10, 12 years, we played gigs, and we never made any more records, but we did all that. You know, and we worked forever. I was the best man at his wedding, Mike's. You know, so that's. I don't think he would have had me be his best man if he would have thought I was, you know, fucking the band over, you know.
Right.
So.
Right.
And I know books have been written and people have said things, but. You know, most of it, I think all of it, the things are written by people who weren't there. And I've never been in a band where I knew anybody around the band who knew what was going on in the band.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's a band, and a band's a band, and, you know.
Right. Maybe it's time, Joey, that you write your own book. Maybe it is, you know. Yeah. I wrote a book and told the story of it, not with all the details and all that, but just the general story of Badfinger is a good story, you know. Right. We got together, we wrote our songs. We never handled the money ourselves, you know what I mean? We just got paid. Right. So we did all the things that we were asked. Yeah, so it was all good for me, touring and traveling the world, man, buying Gibson Les Pauls and, you know, Martins, and just, it was great, man, going to pawn shops, going down in the ghetto, looking for cheap guitars, man, getting chased. You know, I mean, you know, it was a hairy life, but it was fantastic, man, really. Yeah. Yeah, it's still great now. I've just made a new record. Yes. I mean, you know, come on, I just made a new record. It's fantastic. Yes. And everybody said it's great. Everybody says it's great. Be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's what, your first album in nearly 10 years?
Yeah.
And you just released it last month.
Yeah, it was released in October on the 16th. Yeah. I'm really happy with the reaction to it. I think it's selling. I'm not sure.
Joey, it's an awesome album.
Thank you, man.
I mean, there's like this message in every song. I wish we had the time we could kind of get into that, but it's an amazing album.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
It's good stuff.
You still write songs, you know, you still write songs. You don't stop writing songs. And they're getting ideas for songs. And then, you know, you meet somebody like Mark Hudson, who's brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
We became good friends over the past 10 years or so.
He's worked with Cher, Aerosmith, Ringo, right?
Yeah. He's a Grammy winner guy.
Yeah,
you know?
Huge.
He's brilliant. And
he produced your album.
Yeah, he asked me, did I want to make a record? Yeah, I said, yeah.
Are you kidding? I'm still broke.
No, I haven't been, I got to tell you, I haven't been broke since 1985 when we got our royalties.
Yeah, I know. I was just
yeah, but you
yeah.
I'd love to have a record. I'd like to be that not broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Guys, you're watching Barside Jive with my guest singer, songwriter, and guitarist, Joey Molland of the English rock band Badfinger. Joey, I know that some of the people that you featured on that album, Monkey's drummer, Mickey Dolenz, bassist Jason Sheff of Chicago, and Neil Diamond, Steve Hawley of Paul McCartney and the Wings, and even John Lennon's son, John
Yeah,
and
Julian.
Cynthia's
Yeah,
son,
yeah,
Julian. Yeah. Yeah. I guess it was
yeah.
pretty cool working with those guys.
Oh yeah, man. They're all super guys, super pros, lovely people.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Dolan's hilarious and a great performer. I don't know if you ever seen him on stage. He's a great performer. Um, and Jason Sheff too. What a great singer! Wow.
Oh yeah.
I'm serious. You know, his dad was the bass player for Elvis.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was Elvis Presley's bass player there.
Wow. How cool is that?
How cool is that?
I bet he had some stories.
Oh yeah, little things. We didn't talk that much about that, but I was stunned when I found out. Wow, Elvis Presley. Wow, all
Yeah.
round to square one for me, man.
Yeah.
Like it. And Julian Lennon, of course, was a real sweetheart. I'd met Julian about when Veloc came out, when his album came out, which I really liked. And I went down to see him do a show. And I happened to go backstage and say hello. And we just chatted a little bit. But I'd met him and we got along okay. You know, like, nice to see you. And I'll see you again.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I didn't see him all these years. But Mark Hudson knew him really quite well. And so they're talking about something else. I don't know what it was, but he mentioned he was going to be making a record with me. And Julian said, oh, great, you know, knockout. And Mark said, oh, would you like, yeah, I love Badfinger. And he was a big Badfinger fan. And he said, why don't you come and do a bit of singing with Joey then? Yeah, great. And he did. He came in and sang. He sang harmony on 3 or 4 of the songs. Just lovely, really nice people. They come in. They work really hard when they do that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, it's like going and jamming with somebody, learning harmonies and working it out, getting the phrasing right. You know what I mean? And
right.
You know, the way that is.
Right.
So all of these guys did that for me. I was really knocked out. Thank you very much to all of them. And people are always really knocked out to see that on your record. You know, Noodles was there, and you know, Noodles' brother was there.
Right.
It was lovely.
Joey, would you mind playing a little bit? One of the songs off the album?
I can play a song. Yeah. There's a few songs. I don't want to break your heart, even though we're through. I don't want to go far apart. You know that it's true. All I want to do is make love to you. All I want to do is get back to you. And if it comes and we're all done, then I know I tried. And I'll take my heart and run. Then I'll run and hide. 'Cause all I want to do, get back to you. All I want to do, get back to you. I do. Always on my mind. Does this make sense? Then with love, always anytime. There's a slide solo in there and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a bit of a beat song. And then this one.
Dude, I've played your whole album. I love them all.
Well, like we have today, things are different, but you don't change. Under the veil of laws forgotten, lesson learned, can we reach the bottom line this time? I love this song. Cold of the light of day, things are different, but we don't say. Under our breath, we didn't mean it. Didn't feel that we deserved to cry. This time, the more put this in. Time, every minute, every hour, take away our power. Throw out a tune. We can only make it better. We do it all together this time. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. That song Rainy Day Man is pretty good.
Yeah, they're all good, Joey.
Rainy Day Man, the only one we went da 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 da. Only when they cry. You gotta go get the record. Have a listen.
Yeah. No, we'll tell them how to do that. I've already got it. So, hey, Joey, there's just so much positivity in that album. You know, I guess having experienced the lowest of the lows, not that there weren't highs, but you've experienced all these lows, and then it's such a positive album. It just had to be a huge release for you to do that album.
It was, yeah, it's great to get. It was great to go make a real record with a real producer, and I sent him like 40 songs, and he picked out like 10 or 12, and then we did them. We made a record out of them, and what's really great is I've had these ideas. Some of them, I had one of the songs on the album I've had since Badfinger days, since 72, 73.
Yeah.
I've had these songs for years, some of them, and it was great to make the record, and here it come to fruition. It sounds incredible. It really does.
Yeah.
And for me, that's unbelievable. For a guy my age to get that, and what a gift. You know what I mean?
Oh,
what
yeah.
an amazing gift. And you're right. It's great to get the songs out and get these thoughts that I've had. And like you say, most of the songs have real ideas behind them.
Yeah.
They're not just hit record type songs.
Yeah.
They're songs about things,
Let's do another session at some time, not too far down the road, and let's talk about those.
Sure, man.
Those songs.
Sure.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
With all your experience, what advice would you give someone interested in a career in music?
Follow your dream, man. Do it. Read your papers. Pay attention. If something goes wrong, go to your lawyer or a lawyer, or go to the police. Don't forget the police. Stealing is illegal. Whether you're a rock band and it's your money or your songs, it's illegal. You're
Even in New York.
Even in New York. Don't forget about that. And definitely don't forget to go and talk to the cops if you think you're getting conned. It's illegal, man. We never even thought of that.
Yeah.
We never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Read your papers. Pay attention. Be good to your pals. They're your pals, man. Don't let yourself down. Don't let them down. Show up. Nah.
That's great, Joey. Great advice from the guy that knows. What's next for Joey Molland?
Well, I've got to find a cure for the COVID virus. No, and then because I want to get back on the road, man. I want to go back on the road and play.
Yeah.
Come and play this bar that you're in.
Absolutely. When you get to Dallas, you need to let me know. I'm going to hook you up.
All right, boss. I will, man. I will.
Absolutely. Joey, I want to thank you so much for being on my show today. It's been truly an honor. And personally, I've enjoyed every single minute of it, as I know our audience has. And I just wish you and your family the very best of what this life has to offer.
Thank you, and to you and all those people listening out there, man. Let's all have a good life. Let's all have a good life. We all live in America. It's a great place. You know?
It is. It is. To live in this country is amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Really, thanks for having me, man. If you want to ask me about something else that goes along with what we were talking about, we can do that. Okay. I'm going to be around. I got nothing else to do right now. I'm just kind of walking around the house and playing my guitar a little bit, watching telly. You know,
wearing your mask.
Yeah, I've got my mask. I got it right here.
Hey, I would have thought that you would have at least a Badfinger mask.
No, my girl has a Badfinger mask, but I don't have. I don't have one. Like I've got a plain white T-shirt. You know,
you ain't got no money. You ain't got no cool mask.
Yeah. What the hell?
And if you had royalties coming in off that mask, you wouldn't get them anyway.
I got my prayer book.
Oh, hey, now that's important.
That's important.
Now you're talking about something bigger than this world. You're talking about eternity.
Well, you got to deal with it all, man. We got to deal with it.
Isn't that right? Yes, sir. All right, Joey, hang on and don't go anywhere.
All right, boss.
Guys, be sure to check out Joey Molland's album, Be True to Yourself. It's available on Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, Spotify, just about anywhere where music is sold. I'll have a link in the description below, so you can just click on it and go right to the purchase screen. It's just going to be that easy. I want to thank you guys for hanging with me today, and please like and share this video and click subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free. And then click the bell to receive notifications when I post something new like this one. Be safe, be happy, peace, love, and rock and roll, guys. Always rock and roll.
Always.
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you. All right.
Bye-bye.
See you again.
Okay, sir. You betcha.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Want you. Lows that evolve into highs that pierce.